Wednesday, July 15th, 2026. The time is 1:44 p.m. And I titled this right here, Some Things You Just Can't Change About Your Disability. And you got to live with that. You got to live with that, right? And this is what I'm going to say. I am not advising people not to or to do these things. But here's what I'm saying. Here's what I am saying. Some things you just can't change, right? And a lot of times, especially, and I want to speak to parents and I want to speak to adults, but a lot of times they will encourage you to get surgeries for your children, right? And they will encourage you to get surgeries and have these surgeries. And a lot of times, what you have to understand, cerebral palsy is a condition, right? So there's certain things you can do to correct it. There are certain corrections that you can make, and it'll make it better, but you cannot fully just heal and get rid of it because it's in you, and to the people that know, right? And so a lot of times, this is what I will say. I put a guarantee or a percentage because I would have friends, I would have people that say, hey, why won't you just have the surgery? Hey, have you ever considered having surgery? Hey, why don't you have surgery? And this when I was like in my mid to late 30s. I'm in my 40s now. And what they didn't understand, like, I'm not in a youthful space. So healing takes time. Healing takes time, and healing, really, it takes time. I'm just not gonna get around that, right? And the older you get, the less time you have just to sit around and heal, right? So I would always tell the doctors when they would say, "Hey, we can make these type of corrective surgeries. Hey, we could make these type of things." I would always tell the doctors, I would say, "Yo, can you give me a guarantee? Like, what's the guarantee?" I will say this: make them give you like a guarantee. Ask them for a success percentage before you just hand your child over or you just hand yourself over for them to operate on, right? Like I said, some things they might be able to correct. Some things they might be able to help, right? But you ask them for a percentage. Is there a 92% success rate? How long will I be down? How long could this keep me sidelined? You want to know these things. And a lot of times I think that they'll appeal to your emotional state or they'll appeal to the situation that you just want to feel better, right? Right? Somebody says, okay. You just want to feel better and you want to be corrected, right? So you'll say yes because you just want to be helped or you just want to be normal. But what you have to understand is your condition is your condition. Like cerebral palsy isn't going to magically go away. No, this is something that we have to learn to live with. We have to learn to normalize. This is why I always say society, yes, if you want to change yourself, by all means do so. But we have to learn how to normalize and we have to learn how to put it in their faces and make them see that this disability isn't some harsh thing or it isn't something that needs to be pitied, right? So that's one. Make them give you like a percentage. If I give you my son or daughter and you operate on them, what will the long term, and if they can't give you a real like make sense or common sense answer, then you might want to be hesitant because I can remember, and I'm an 80s and 90s and I know technology has advanced, but this is what we want to understand. I had a gang of surgeries as a young man. I had a gang of surgeries. I had a lot of operations that were supposed to correct certain things. And guess what? They didn't work. Now, like I said, am I discouraging people and saying don't do this? No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is weigh it on the scale and weigh it through. Don't just jump into it and don't just run away from it. It's a decision and a discernment thing. And that's what we have to understand, how to discern what to do with our bodies when we trust into these surgeries, right? And I had a gang of surgeries, and some of the things that they tried to operate on, they it never really helped. It was just a procedure that took me down and sidelined me for a while. So some things are in the cards, right? And that's where we have to learn how to grow. Or that's why where we have to learn how to be accepting of the condition, right? We have to learn, like I was saying on the old one, I said, well, disabilities aren't so finite, right? They're limited and they have limitations, but they're not so finite, right? Okay, that's just a ridiculous question. But it's not so finite, right? People I promise people will say the most ridiculous things. But just because you're limited, it doesn't mean you're limited to not being there. Even able-bodied people are limited, right? Even people that don't walk around with restrictions, there's just certain things they can't do. But in the paradigm of how we look at things, it's they get you to look at focused on all what you can't do. Or oh, poor pity, or poor this. No, we don't need that. What we have to learn is to understand, to the theme of this conversation, is that there's just some things we can't change. The things you can change, then work toward them. But the best thing you can do, and this is why I go to the gym so often, and this is why I exercise so much, because the more you stretch your body, the best thing you can do for your cerebral palsy and your condition is stretch, right? Because it's already a tightness, it's already a restriction that you feel. So the best thing that you can do is just stretch your body, exercise your mind. This is the most unlimited place that we can live. Your mind and your mentality. That's the number one thing. Build a beautiful mind. Build a beautiful drive. Naysayers are naysayers no matter who we are. Idiots exist in no matter what. But this is what I want you, this is my message, right? That some things you just can't change. Parents, be careful. Be careful just offering up your child for surgeries, right? Because you want them to feel better. But it takes away, I promise, it takes away from their youth. It takes away from them, and they are depending on your decision making, right? You have free will over them. And the last thing before I get out of here, ask them. Ask them how they feel about something. Ask them the pros and cons of what they feel about having these surgeries, right? And sometimes don't just look at like them being fixed. That is okay. I was just reading the comments, right? Thank you for your comments, by the way. Um, Sometimes we look at the thing of like healing and fixing, and we want this goal done, but sometimes we have to understand like destiny. Is this even in the cards? If you have this hip surgery, or if you have this alignment surgery, will it do exactly what it's supposed to do? And if the answer is not as I said, make them come up with a percentage. Let's say you ask the doctors, can you guarantee me, number one, I don't think they'll be able to guarantee anything. Or maybe they will, but can you guarantee me, let's say your number is 88%. Can you guarantee me a 88% success rate? Understand, ask how long will I be or will my child be sidelined if they go through with this? Because we have to understand what it does to the mind, to the you already go through enough, right? So we have to understand we're already limited. So now you're limiting my time for whatever else, right? So these are just some tips. These are just some clues. If you like what I'm saying, like, share, and subscribe. And let me know in the comments what you think. I also do consultations if you want to get advice, if you want to get insight. You know, I'm open. The link is in my bio, and I'm open. I'm open to reach out to. You can also reach out to me on my TikTok at Cerebral Mentality 221, and I'm open for interviews. If you want your story to be told, if you want to speak more, and you want people to understand, if you are a special needs parent and you want to highlight the ups and the downs, not necessarily the struggles, because the struggles come with any type of parenting, but the highs and lows. What are some things that you want people to understand about being a quote unquote special needs parent? If you have a child that, just wants answers, I'm available. So, like I said, if you like what I'm saying, show love to the live, like, share, and subscribe. And as they say, tell your friends about me. Peace.